Artificial intelligence is changing the way researchers study and protect wildlife. From predicting habitat shifts to analyzing ecological patterns, AI is opening up amazing new possibilities for understanding biodiversity. At the Reptile Map, we're excited to eventually bring some of these tools into our own work and to improve data accuracy, streamline what we do, and strengthen how we monitor and protect reptile populations around the world. That's why the theme of this year is technology. So my name is Irina, and I am the Florida State Chapter founder and representative for the Reptile Map. I just want to start by saying how grateful we are that you're all here today, and it really means a lot that you took time out of your day to be a part of this. It's amazing to know we have such a passionate and diverse group of students, professors, and researchers all coming together with the same shared goal, which is understanding and protecting reptiles and the environments they depend on. I first joined the Reptile Map because I've always loved environmental science and wanted to be a part of something that actually makes a difference. Over the past year, I've seen how powerful collaboration can be, not just here in Florida, but across the globe. Whether we're sharing data with each other or posting new reptile sightings, every small effort adds up, and it really helps us tell a much bigger story about biodiversity and why it's worth protecting.
So thanks everyone for coming today. This is just to be a quick talk on and how it's gonna work is I'm gonna spend the first good chunk of time just talking about my background, my personal experiences, and how I got to founding the Reptile Map. And then I'll move on to talk about some previous work that I did and my goals for the future, not only here at the Reptile Map, but also for conservation in general around the world. So without further ado, let me just introduce myself. I'm Darwin. I'm the founder of the Reptile Map, but I'm actually born in and raised in Toronto, Canada, and I went to a high school called Upper Canada College, as you can see here. Now I'm a freshman at Harvard University. I want to study neuroscience on a more computational track. And I like to say that I took a pretty untraditional route to get to where I am today. Essentially, I'm applied as a pre-med major. I want to specialize in ecology and evolutionary biology, but really I got my start extremely, extremely young because maybe ever since I was like 2, 3 years old, I just loved animals, and my parents would take me to the zoo, the safari, SeaWorld probably every other week. So that I really loved those experiences. And the first note here is just I grew up just loving and caring for animals, caring for the environment, conservation, and like basically everything else related, right? But then my journey kind of took a pause because for most of elementary and middle school, I didn't really think about that passion for animals. Like I just studied like a normal student would, and I didn't really put much mind into it. It was really only until when I got to high school, when I got to UCC, that I saw a for hiring poster for a local zoo near my house, and I applied, did my interview, and I got in. So that was called Reptilia, and it was for work that I've always wanted to do, which is just being a zookeeper. And Reptilia is actually Canada's largest zoo. And prior to this experience, I was like, reptiles are cool, sure, and snakes, they're pretty cool. But it was only at Reptilia where I was really blown away, and I really got to know these creatures on a deeper level, right? I still remember orientation day when like they brought out by stages like different reptiles for us to like practice handling with. We started out with like turtles, like painted turtles. They're like this small, and then we worked our way from like bearded dragons to ball pythons, snakes, and they even brought out a tarantula at the end. And we all took turns like handling these reptiles, and you can see like photos here on the slide. Reptilia is where I got to understand and appreciate these reptile creatures on a much, much more deeper level. Obviously, there are like other reptiles at the zoo, like Komodo dragons and crocodiles, but I don't have my clearance for those yet. So anyways, at Reptilia, I learned so much about these reptiles, like about their importance in our ecosystem, biodiversity, their ecological importance. I was just surrounded by people who shared that same love every single week. Every time I would go into work, I was surrounded by a group of people who all loved and appreciated reptiles. And two, I was able to every week share my love for reptiles with everyone around me, whether that be the visitors and guests that are coming in that range from like sometimes there's like little children visiting the zoo that are like 2 years old to maybe like 60, 70, or even older adults, right? And I was able to share that love with each one of them. I'm able to chat with them about their experience with reptiles and share my experiences. And that was just a very, very impactful and transformative experience being working at Reptilia essentially. So you just see on the slide here, there's some pictures of me. You can see like on the top left and middle here, that's me. That's just me working at Reptilia. And then some pictures of me both at Harvard and at UCC, right? So but then there's still actually one more stage between Reptilia, like UCC, and really getting to founding ReptileMap. And what that is on the next slide here, it's actually how I became a turtle trooper. So turtle trooper is like a program under the Turtle Guardians and Ontario Nature, which is like the overarching organization for the Toronto Region Conservation Authority, where I worked. And as a turtle trooper, essentially what I would do is every other week I would like just I would go to nearby wetlands near my home because I live in a pretty rural area. And every like Sunday morning, I would just take a brisk hike or walk and look for baby turtle hatchlings like the ones you see in the pictures here. So my role is essentially for data collection purposes, of course, I'm monitoring turtle nesting and just behavior in general. And I'm monitoring their nesting sites week after week. And when they do hatch, one of the most incredible parts of my work is that I get to really basically cradle these little hatchlings back to the water because a lot of them actually, without turtle troopers, aren't able to make it back to the wetland. So a lot of the time, like every Sunday, I would just go out and look for these turtle hatchlings, and then I would cradle them and I bring them across like a road, an intersection, and back into the water, like you can see in the pictures here. And that's that's such an incredible experience, in my opinion. You guys should all try. There's like Ontario and Toronto, where I live, is such a big place for like painted turtles, like snapping turtles. So actually, it's really perfect for me. Another experience that I had with reptiles before the reptile map, and it was just like pretty part time. Every week in the morning, I would just go take a walk. And like, I think my record is like, I found like maybe 15, 20 of these turtle hatchlings in one day. And that was just because like one nest hatched and I was just there for it, which is super cool. And this connects to like the reptile map because just one day I was talking with my team leader. She's like a graduate from the University of Guelph in Ontario who studied animal sciences. And I was talking with her and I was like asking her about the goal of Turtle Trooper and like, why are we doing this? Why are we collecting all this data? And she told me that they were trying to build a very comprehensive database to track turtle population, turtle behavior, for for environmental insights, and actually a lot of benefits of these kind of citizen science projects. Because if citizens like around town can become aware of turtle behavior and like can track the location of turtle nesting sites, and they can be more mindful of their actions, obviously. Through my work as a turtle trooper, I learned that a lot of them are actually just trampling nesting sites unintentionally, of course, and just construction and whatnot are all bulldozing turtle habitats. And it was just devastating. And that's one of the main responsibilities as a turtle trooper, is just to protect these incredible creatures, right? So when I learned of this, I thought to myself, I like coding. I consider myself a pretty technical person. So I told my team leader, hey, why don't I help you build this database? So that's how it all got started. I get to work, and keep in mind, like I'm also working at Reptilia at the same time here. So I talked with them and I talked with Reptilia as well. And I learned that this lack of data, lack of centralized data, is not only an issue for turtles, but all reptiles in general. And it's pretty clear. It's like I could fathom a reason why, because most people, and even like conservation activists and organizations, they don't really deal with reptiles. And there's a big misconception around reptiles that they're dangerous, they're unearthly creatures, they're not like us humans, so we just tend to other them and like segregate them off as like as an underappreciated group. And it's a misconception for a reason, right? Because reptiles are nothing like that. They're such integral parts of our ecosystem. They're key players. They're ecological important steps from their contributions to like our biodiversity. They're predators at high trophic levels. They're ecosystem buffers and indicators. Like the list just goes on and on and on. So that's where the reptile map was really got started. And you can see here on the slide, this is the original reptile map mission statement. Really, of course, the end goal is just ensuring the well-being and conservation of reptiles. And we do this through data collection and geoanalysis. And our mission really boils down to simply empowering conservation efforts and raising awareness for the central population. It all got started like by building the map, of course. And that involved mainly a lot of web scraping, geoanalysis. Like a lot of the people here you see today helped me out with that. So we mainly took data from a site called iNaturalist, which is like a free online platform and app where people like record and share observations of reptiles and all species, of course. And then scientists and experts come on and analyze and label those sightings. And it's great because there's like a location attached to every one of those sightings, and we're able to use GIS mapping to add that to our reptile map. And in that way, we were able to like compile all sorts of sightings from all around the world into the centralized map that we host on our website. So that's really how the reptile map got started. We ended off last year with scales and sustainability conference where we spoke and we heard from amazing speakers, whether they are doctors, PhDs, researchers, just biologists, veterinarians. And it was a really meaningful experience where attendees from all around the world came to hear and learn more about this underappreciated group. Now, I want to end off really by saying that tools like Reptile Map make it simple for observation to really become evidence, and we're able to really start making these maps more than just public infrastructure. What I envision for the future is I want to inform public action, right? I want to inform signage around your town, seasonal like road slowdowns and boardwalks over maybe fragile nesting sites. The work ahead is as much cultural as it is technical. I want to make open methods and honest metrics in order to shape the future and really turn reptiles into something that's globally recognized and appreciated all the same. So finally, that's really all for my talk here today. I want to open up the floor to one or two questions quick.
That sounds great, Darwin. It looks like there's some questions in the chat. Do you want to answer a couple of those?
Yes. Do you plan to continue being involved with biodiversity at Harvard? Of course, I'm going to continue being involved, whether that be through clubs. There's a PBHA association here at Harvard, and I'm actively involved in just environmental restoration around the city of Cambridge. That's one thing. I'm interested in joining a lot of eco clubs here maybe next semester because PBHA is really the main thing that I'm working with right now. And I'm also part of like the clean energy group. So yes, that's definitely one thing. How did you find these opportunities such as turtle, troopers, and reptilia? Do you have any advice for high schoolers who also want to get involved? Um, it was all I could say was pretty just luck, honestly. I got Reptilia first, and that was just because I saw like for hiring ad poster. I forget where it was. I think it was like in person somewhere, and I was like, "Hey, I recognize Reptilia," because again, when I was young, I used to go there and to go to the Toronto Zoo, and I just loved the animals. So I was like, they're looking for zookeepers, they're looking for educators. Why don't I just apply? Because I have time, and that would be an amazing experience. It's something I've always wanted to do. So I did apply. I did my interview, came in for orientation, and yeah, that's how I ended up working at Reptilia. I worked there for just under 2 years, I think. And Turtle Troopers was a similar thing where I've already been working at the TRCA, the Toronto Region Conservation Authority, as like a landscaper and like just a volunteer in my local garden circle. And I again saw a notice for this Turtle Guardians program. And I reached out to there was actually like a team, like a chapter where I live in Richmond Hill, and I reached out to the team leader, and that was how I got started. So I'll quickly answer this last question. How does this database for turtles work? Essentially, it's just a centralized hub where sightings of turtles and nesting sites are tracked. So it's it's a it's a method where, like, if you go into like a town or something, you just see everywhere where there have been observed nesting sites and observed nesting behavior from turtles. So in the future, we want to connect that with like government regulations, and we want to make local citizens aware of these nesting sites. Right now, it takes a lot of initiative for them to open our website and really look at those locations, but it's super, super important for citizens to be aware of that, to stay mindful of these sites when they could literally just be right outside their home. Like, I've seen a nesting site just in the lawn of somebody's home. And a lot of the times, because of a lack of awareness, people often trample over these sites and aren't careful around them. And a lot of the baby turtles actually don't make it to adulthood. And it's really, really sad. So that's one of the missions as a turtle trooper and what we did as a turtle trooper.
That sounds really interesting, Darwin. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and coming and talking with us.
No worries.
Unfortunately, he has to go, but thanks so much for your talk.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me.